What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob, here today with Cam Millar, who is the National Brand Ambassador for Edrington and their entire portfolio.
Yeah.
So what does that consist of?
So first of all, Rob, thanks for having me over. Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming.
So the Edrington portfolio includes the Macallan, Highland Park, Glenrothes, Famous Grouse, Cutty Sark, and Brugal rum. So a wonderful collection of amazing liquids.
Yeah, awesome. And the ones we'll be speaking about tonight are Macallan, and then later on this evening there will be a second video and we'll be talking about Highland Park as well.
Yes, yes.
So
good stuff.
What do we got here today?
So I've brought some of my my best friends along here, the Macallan lineup. Some two you've tried with my predecessor Nicholas. You've got the Macallan Double Cask 12-year-old, and you've got the Macallan Rare Cask. But what I specifically want to talk about today is the Macallan Edition number 2 and the Macallan Edition number 3. Part of our limited run of whiskeys that are going to be partner or collaborations with unique individuals based out of Spain, and the expression is captured in these bottles.
So each from the editions 1, 2, and 3 are all people from Spain? Is that
so edition number 1 that wasn't available in Canada but did come out into the US and has quickly been bought up and is very scarce, so if you find a bottle in the US, grab it. That was done by Bob Delgarno, our master whiskey maker. That was sort of his take on the Macallan to begin the edition series. And then we partnered with the Roca Brothers, a restaurant based in Spain that's won Restaurant of the Year twice. And so this is a partnership between the 3 Roca brothers, Joseph, Joan, and Jordy, and Bob himself. And they actually selected their own barrels. So on the front of the box, you can see what type of wood it is: European oak, American oak, first or second fill, and the type of flavors you actually get from those barrels. So we're not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes here. We tell you exactly what you get in the bottle. And if you think about edition number 2 being made with restaurateurs, people who are very focused on flavor, this is amazing whiskey that focuses on the spices and the intense flavors on the palate, which is really, really exquisite. And then
it's cool that you mentioned that, because they chose a great restaurant for edition 2 and then something very different to focus on with edition 3, I'm assuming, right? Which is, go ahead.
That's it, yeah. So exactly that. So a great restaurant and a great part of Spanish culture, but edition number 3 is taking it to a completely different realm. Still staying within our relationship to Spain, where all of our casks, both American and European oaks, are sherry seasoned in Jerez, Spain. We have a strong tie there. So we actually worked with a individual who we've worked with quite a few times named Roja Dove. And so he's a famous perfumist. And if you think about the aromatics of a good whiskey, it all starts with the first time you nose it and what type of memories come to mind. And so we used Roja Dove to help focus the flavors of the whiskey on the aromatic or sensorial portion. And so they've picked out 6 different casks between Bob and Roja Dove and made an exquisite whiskey here that's more reminiscent of a perfume, something I'd actually kind of want to wear on my neck, as well as a drink. So it's an amazing partnership that I'm actually really excited to have you experience today.
Yeah, this is going to be my first time trying this one, so I'm very excited.
So you have had edition number 2, but it being one of my favorite whiskeys, would you mind us sampling it again?
I mean,
twist your arm, right?
Yeah, right?
Okay. So we'll start with this one. There you go. So again, really fun here is that on the inside of the label, we actually hinted at edition number 3 coming out. And so if you open up edition number 3, it'll talk about edition number 4.
Right.
Now, no words on edition number 4 yet,
okay,
but it lets you know that these are meant to be very fleeting. They come and they go.
Right.
So when you see one, you enjoy it, make sure you grab a bottle.
That's right.
Yeah, you want to help yourself?
Sure.
I'll hold the glass here. There's a partner here.
Just do a small one right there for now.
One for me as well.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay?
I'm being greedy, guys.
That's perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. So what you'll see here, almost the same color as a beautiful orange label here, but it's a really beautiful little burnt orange color into the whiskey. To hold up this very well lit studio. Almost like a Spanish sunset, if you want to get really romantic about it. But when you bring edition number 2 to your nose, bursting with sort of sweet, sweet fruit, delicious spices, Although the dinner we had was delicious, this is something I can imagine myself having a delicious meal at the Roca cellar in Spain.
It almost smells dessert-like.
Yeah, you get more of those sort of sweet, delicious fruits. Always going to be coming from more of those European oak. We're pulling those sort of rich, dried fruit notes from, but very rich in flavor. Well, sláinte.
Cheers. I love this one because of the ABV just gives it this full body.
Viscous.
Yeah,
very viscous on the palate. Just coats the entire tongue, almost something you want to chew on, like it's a meal.
Yeah.
I always think about when they made this whiskey, what were they thinking about? Well, they're restaurateurs. They want to think about how this performs on the palate. What are those rich, intense flavors you're going to get? Vanilla, one of those sweet cream notes, but a really rich spice and a nice finishing outside of the tongue. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, the appetizers or dessert, but it's sort of that really rich body across the palate.
It's beautiful.
Mm.
I mean, I had a chance, obviously. Fortunately, it didn't last very long in my
it's always a sign of a good bottle is when it's empty.
When it's empty. So it yielded a very good mark on my channel for sure.
And what I think is important is what we're doing is sampling this to see the contrast to edition number 3. They're completely different approaches. Yes, Bob Del Garno, our master whiskey maker, will always be involved in the selection and marriage of these casks, but it's how we partner with these individuals to see that their vision comes full circle. And so this one is an exquisite whiskey that you and I are both a fan of for obvious reasons, but I'm excited to introduce you to edition number 3 next and see how that changes. So I'm going to babysit that for a little bit, and I want to actually have them side by side. So if you want to pass me edition number 3.
Absolutely.
So you'll see a larger collection of casks here. What's always interesting is that the number on the front of the bottle, or the box, sorry, and the bottle, will actually give you a bit of information on how many casks were used, how many were vatted. So it's 6 casks. They vatted 523 in 2017, and it's edition number 3. So there's a bit of information provided to you on the front of the box. Again, I'm a big fan of keeping my boxes. I think it's very neat and tidy, but especially these boxes because it's going to give you way more information about what's going on in there. So again, if you look at some of the different types of barrels in there, you've got a bourbon barrel, you've got some butts, some punch-ins, all different experiences from the cask. Now, the size will influence how much contact with the wood, changing the ultimate flavor, and what they once held, of course, will change the flavor. Again, there's edition number 4 in the label. I'm not sure if you can see that, but again, hinting at what will come down the pipeline next. I'm sure I can come back to enjoy that with you. But here we go.
You're more than welcome.
Some beautiful edition number 3.
So this is my first. I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity to see what that looks like. All right, for the Canadian viewers especially, because this hasn't arrived just yet in Canada.
No, not yet. Hopefully it'll be shortly after this actually gets posted. But an ABV of 48.3, which is a shocking 0.1% more than edition number 2. But this one, I'll help myself here, is a very different approach that I find lighter on the nose. You think about that 0.1% increase in alcohol by volume to be a very small amount, but the way they've selected these barrels brings a much sweeter vibrancy to it. Even if you hold the colors up, I find this one to be a touch lighter in color.
Yeah.
Not quite as deep or dark as edition number 2.
Is that because of the one bourbon cask selected, or was it more than one then?
It could be. So those are the 6 casks they've picked, and of those 500 and odd casks they've vatted, there could be different proportions of them. But yes, what a lighter color, because the Macallan is all naturally colored, would have a lighter proportion, or larger proportion of white American oak.
Man, the nose on this is gorgeous.
I don't know if we can see that on the video, but we can also hold that up to it and really see how the colors change across the two into the darker coloring. But what we find on edition number 3 on the nose, floral. It's almost perfume. Again, we're dealing with a perfumist.
When you said that, yeah, 100%.
Dried lemons, more citrus notes, things that are very, very light.
it's not your typical smell that you would get out of a Macallan, which is kind of interesting because I always talk about how Macallan has a very distinct Macallan smell, taste, but this is a bit different. I mean, you would still probably be able to pinpoint that it's a Macallan, but
it does have this sort of rich freeness that's coming from our new make spirit and our cask selection, but it's so floral that I can definitely see a departure from that more rich, decadent style of Macallan. But I encourage you to have a sample of this, and what I want you to look for is fireworks across the palate, almost like pop rocks. It's an amazing texture on the palate.
I'm just going to take a quick sip of water here.
I will actually second that.
Okay, cheers.
Cilantro. More bouncy on the palate, not quite as heavy.
Yeah.
Sweet lemon zing to it. More dessert flavor we talked about before. Comes in more of that Macallan style,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Almost like a sorbet. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
I agree with that actually. And what's interesting is I expected this to taste like the Fine Oak series, and it doesn't, in my opinion. It's very different. I was lucky enough to have a Macallan 17-year-old recently, and I was linking this expression to that, thinking they would be close to, but they're not. This is very unique.
And what's fun about this is Bob Delgarno took Roja Dove through the storehouse and was able to say, okay, here are a number of different casks, here are samples from them. You know, what are you finding? What flavors are coming up? Okay, now how do we find the partnership between them? And that's the beauty of this, is that it isn't just a one-track mind from Bob. He's able to partner and bring in these unique traits from Roja.
That's beautiful.
And this is something that, as much as I want to say I wish it'd come out in the spring, because this is a delicious summer whiskey for me. I'd love this on a cool evening in the summer. Heading into fall, it's still an exquisite whiskey to enjoy, perhaps with dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still develops more and more as it begins to evaporate. With that 48.3% alcohol, you could even do a touch of water here, bring it down a bit, and bring out more cream. So I'm actually going to do just that now. Okay. Although I do love this whiskey neat because that beautiful sort of palate it provides.
That thick mouth feel.
Just a little bit of water there.
Maybe I didn't do the same,
Not sure you can see that, but some beautiful, beautiful oils just reacting in the whiskey. Again, all natural whiskey here, no color added. Give it a bit of water to open up.
I love the fact that the edition 2 is 48.2 and then the edition 3 is 48.3. That's really cool.
Catching on. It's cleaner now, sort of more light flavors coming in again, more floral notes.
Bit more herbal.
Get more of that wood note. Now we're getting a bit more of the oaking.
Yep, exactly.
Cooler on the palate, not quite as spicy. Almost like lemon meringue now.
Yeah.
That is nice. But truly a different whiskey from edition number 2.
They're night and day, in my opinion.
And that's the fun part about it. All these whiskeys maturing at our storehouses, between the size and shape and first fill of these casks, you're adopting totally different personalities and character. Which is fun to see what we're going to explore with next. But doing some amazing stuff so far, which is thrilling.
Absolutely. Why don't you, if you don't mind, of course, tell our viewers a little bit about how you became into the role, because many of the subscribers from my channel are familiar with Nicholas.
Yes, the legend Nicholas, of course.
Yes. So Nicholas has now moved on to New York, right?
Yes.
And now Cam is representing us, so, well, the 6.
That's it, yes. So part of the 6 is all of Eastern Canada is my stomping grounds, but I started off as a fan of whiskey. I actually attended a Raise the Macallan just over 3 years ago, and at the time it was Marc Leveldier who actually was presenting to us on the whiskeys, and I fell in love. I was taken there with a friend who knew I liked whiskey, and there's actually an Instagram post on my personal account that says, I wish I could do this for a living. and now I'm doing
Sure
it. So, like any good Scottish whiskey, aged a minimum of 3 years, it's taken me that long to get into this role. But it's been a lot of learning, a lot of studying, a lot of speaking to people about what they enjoy about whiskey and finding out how that's created. So the best thing about whiskey is it's such a deep rabbit hole to go down. Wine, especially in this country, is very well understood, even in Niagara here not far from Toronto. But when you start diving into what whiskey is, for a country who's very proud of their rye, don't know a lot, unfortunately. And so I'm always happy to educate people, and that's all I ever tell people I am, is an educator. I happen to put on a salesman hat or a marketer hat every once in a while, but in the end I want people to understand what's in their glass, and so they can enjoy it more, like you and I are doing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do want to follow along with my adventures, you can add me on Instagram at Cam Ambassador, which is just ambassador with a C in front of it. I know, very, very smart name. And yeah, all I'll do is share what I'm drinking and hopefully a bit of knowledge about how we go about making our great whiskeys at all of our distilleries.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you've enjoyed
This is
edition
awesome.
number 3.
This is awesome. Very different. I'm surprised at how different they are.
And at the Macallan, for being the stalwart we are in the industry, you know, very well known, some of the most expensive scotches ever made. This is meant to be a collector's item. You know, they're very fleeting, but they're meant to be unique for palates of today. Palates 20 years ago have changed from what people are drinking. The popularity of bourbon have changed, and so what you see here are approaches to the whiskey that are meant to be quote-unquote whiskey forward, but all the while staying true to the Macallan house style. Which I think we've done a very good job of.
Yeah, no, they're both beautiful, and I wish I could have tried the edition number 1. Hopefully my brother, after watching this, will open his bottle, but this was awesome.
Yes.
And we have more for you guys, so sit tight, because we will be coming back with 2 different expressions from Cam's other line, which is Highland Park.
Yep, up to the Orkneys for the next one.
All right, cheers guys.